During the scramble for Africa, every African country that tried to resist the European colonizers fell. By the year 1868, 52 African countries had been colonized. Only Libya and Ethiopia were still standing. But how did Ethiopia resist colonization? And what happened between them and foreign invaders? Portugal, Britain, Germany, France, and Spain were successful in their bid to colonize African countries. The European economy grew as neighboring countries exploited the resources of poor Africans. Amidst the exploitation, Italy felt left out and made their plan to invade Ethiopia. In 1869, Italy purchased a small portion of land in Eritrea and expanded their kingdom to Africa. This portion meant Italy controlled the sea and cut off ancient Ethiopia from it. This was a deliberate act to provoke the barbaric Ethiopians to war, which will give Italy an excuse to colonize Ethiopia. Italy has made the first move. Now they await Ethiopia to respond. Back in Ethiopia, the Emperor Johannes IV is dead, and Menelik succeeds to the throne. Menelik II is a known supporter of Italy, so they made a treaty with him, supporting him with resources, finance, and weapons. But there were two versions of the treaty, each with different clauses. The outcome of these deliberate discrepancies would potentially lead to war. In the Amharic version, the language of Ethiopia, it stated that Ethiopia could use the good offices of the Italian government in its foreign relations if it wished, implying an option, not an obligation. But in the Italian version, it states something different. Ethiopia was obligated to conduct all its foreign affairs through Italian authorities, effectively making Ethiopia an Italian protectorate. Italy has made two moves. Ethiopia is trapped. When Emperor Menelik II noticed the discrepancies in the treaty, he knew Italy had played a mind game on him, and it was only a matter of time before he was attacked. When he sent out to seek allies, he was rejected by every European country, all except Russia, who felt they shared the same Orthodox faith with Ethiopia. For half a decade, Russia sent out contemporary weapons to Ethiopia, and Menelik assembled his weapons in large quantities, patiently waiting for the Italians. In 1895, Italy assembled 20,000 soldiers and marched them to Ethiopia. To the Italians, they were going to fight barbaric Ethiopians who used primitive weapons for war. Menelik, who had orchestrated these, knew the Italians underestimated them, and he was ready to use his underdog to his advantage. Baratieri, the leader of the Italian army, divided his troops into three, hoping to catch the Ethiopian army in a crossfire situation. But the maps were old and outdated, the terrain was bad, and the night was thick. When the sun rose, the Baratieri's army were too far from one another. The Ethiopian army, who laid ambush behind the mountains, sneaked up on the front brigade. To Italy's surprise, the 200,000 Ethiopian army charged at them with sophisticated weapons, annihilating the first brigade. By the time backup arrived from the center brigade, the first brigade were totally annihilated. In similar fashion, the Ethiopian army charged towards the center brigade, and the assault was so heavy, the third brigade had no option but to retreat. Ethiopia, sensing victory, charged with full force to chase the third brigade, catching them in the valley of Adwa. When news of the defeat reached Italy, massive demonstrations broke out and a new treaty recognizing Ethiopia as an independent state was signed. Ethiopia remained one of the only two African countries to never be colonized. When Menelik succeeded to the throne, he, together with his wife, Empress Taitu, made sure to unite the people under a common goal. Prior to his succession, the country suffered from various tribal wars, which the Italians sought to use to their advantage. But Menelik united his people, a key factor which the Italian spies missed to report. On the day of the battle, the Italian soldiers were surprised to see they were outnumbered 1-to-10. 2. When Menelik anticipated war, he sought allies from Russia who were happy to help. Russia sent several contemporary weapons, and Menelik gathered them. But this information was also hidden from the Italian spies, who thought Ethiopia will attack with cutlass, spears, and catapult. To their surprise, they met outnumbered Ethiopian army with contemporary weapons. Their hopes were lost upon learning this information on the battlefield. Three. The Ethiopian army used their knowledge of the battlefield to their advantage. Before the Italians arrived on the valley of Adwa, the Ethiopian army were already laying ambush, waiting for them.